Hello, everybody. Welcome to the year-end 2022 Rock Show. I'm Rocker Mike. This is Rob Rossi. We got a few guests today coming on. We're going to recap a few things over the last year. Okay, looks like we got another guest. Hold on. Roxanne, hey.
Hello there.
All right, we just went live, so you came in.
Hey, Roxanne, how you doing?
I'm okay. How
Good,
you doing?
good. We're doing good.
That's
You guys
good.
know each other?
This lighting is weird, but I'm not as dark as you guys, so I guess it's not
Believe me, you don't want to look at us. Trust me, you don't want to look at us.
Yes,
All right,
I knew a guy once.
You guys know Roxanne?
Can you hear me?
I don't know her.
Okay.
I definitely hear you. Yep.
You can hear me. Good. You don't mind if I grind while we're on, do you?
No.
Go for it. Go for it.
All right, so like I said, this is the year-end 2022 Rock Show. We're going to be recapping a few things from the past year. And we have three wonderful guests here. We got Roxanne Fontana. We've got Jack Lipton and Spike Penetrator from the Penetrators on the right side. We're going to probably have a couple more guests today, too, just so you know. Also, at the end of every year, we've been doing it now. It's the fourth year. We talk about the solo artist of the year and group of the year. And that's going to be these wonderful guests right here. Roxanne, I made you solo artist of the year for your wonderful album called Phantasmagoria.
Thank you.
Okay, and you guys, the Penetrators, we're going to talk about the wonderful year you've had with the single Time Is Mine. Okay?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rob.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's talk to the Penetrators first. Okay, we'll get this done quick. I want to tell a great story. All right, now you guys were on our show a few months back, earlier in the year, and you had said that you had some great music recorded, but you just couldn't find anybody to put it out. So I've made a couple of calls. I had a couple of connections with Big Stir Records, who I thought might be able to help you. And I put you in touch with Dennis Tuning, who is the manager to Tony Valentino from the Standells. And we knew Dennis and Tony from a prior interview as well this year. And Dennis, I sent him your songs, and I expected him to put me in touch with Big Stir. Instead, he said that he liked it and he wanted to put it out. He was going to start this label. So it all worked out. You guys put out 2 singles, I believe, right?
2, yeah.
2, right? The second one was Time Is Mine, which was written originally by Sonny Vincent. Great tune. Okay, you guys covered it. It's fantastic. And it spent about, if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, about 7 weeks on the top of the independent charts.
That's about right. We were 4 weeks in a row. We were number 1. So we were happy about that, but we were on total several weeks. Yes.
Yeah, I think 7 weeks is we were in the top 10. And
top 10, okay.
Number 1.
Still, yeah. That's fantastic. I mean,
and we're back in the top 50.
You also got some airplay on. You got some airplay on Little Steven's Underground Garage as well. Bill Kelly was playing you.
Yep, we've been on that, and Bill Kelly's show, and a few other shows. All these Radio Alliance shows all over the world. Actually, we're doing very well in Australia right now, which is kind of interesting, and the UK. Cool. So there's been a bit of a boomerang effect, if you will. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Where can I hear it? Is it on YouTube or something like that? Or are you guys going to play it?
Yes. For starters, if you go to YouTube and you enter the Penetrators, Time Is Mine.
Okay.
It'll be right up there.
Okay.
That might be the easiest way.
Good. I'll check it out.
We appreciate that. Thanks.
Great.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you guys got planned for 2023?
Well, amidst all this technical stuff of the past few minutes, I did message you the cover of what will be our next record, Mike.
Okay.
And it looks after a lot of discussion that our next release is a tune called Treat You Right, which this time was written by some friends of ours, Mark Doyle and George Egosarian. And we again are doing our best to cover the tune and do it justice. And if you check
Hello,
your
Central
messages
New York.
later, there's a nice cover concept that Dennis Tuning put together. And I just a quick word on Dennis. Dennis did a great job with us, and he's really a great manager and a great force out there, and really knows how to pull the strings and make things happen. So great job for Dennis in 2022 for sure.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, a lot of credit to him for that.
I thought while I had my moment here on your show, I might throw a long Hail Mary pass down the field, see what happens, but I don't get to be on these podcasts and stuff too often.
Go ahead.
There's been months and months, and I keep hearing from all sorts of people how much they love our version of Time Is Mine.
Yeah.
And while I got a little bit of an audience here, with your permission, I'd just like to make a quick request of your listeners.
Sure.
And that request would be, seriously, if anybody out there knows anyone who is involved with making commercials or making any kind of motion pictures or something, just speaking for myself, I think this song has a lot of potential. If you know anybody like that, if you could please contact Rock and Mike, and he could pass on the information to us. But
sure. Anybody listening?
Maybe Wednesday will dance to it someday. I said maybe Wednesday will dance to it someday.
But after what Mike did the last time I talked to him, Mike, I believe in you. You can make anything happen. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, I threw a Hail Mary myself, and it worked.
Yes, you did. They work sometimes, so it's all good. It's all good.
All right, guys.
Can I ask what style of music it is? Because I'm not familiar at all.
Well,
what's that?
What style
Elliot,
of music
you want to handle that one?
Yeah, we're definitely garage rock. We've been on underground garage shows, and we been punk rock, new wave, you name it. Just very 60s influenced, but we've added a lot of contemporary touches as well. The technology is no longer sounding like it's done in my basement. It sounds like it's actually done in a pretty good studio these days.
And how do you record? Do you record on tape or digital?
We're digital pretty much. Yeah. I mean, we were analog purists at one point, but the sounds you can get these days with digital is just incredible. And our studio that we use and also our co-producer are very familiar with all the latest technologies, and we've been able to use them to full advantage. So it's really.
Plus there are you don't have much of a choice, do you, in America? I mean, how many analog studios are there in New York City right now? Anyway, there isn't really any.
They're very hard to
Electric
find.
Lady, which is whatever price through the roof.
Yeah.
Well,
Very hard
it's
to
funny
find
because
analog.
we did an album in Utica, New York, at a studio of one of our friends, and it was he had an actual 16-track deck and tape machine from Nashville that had some history to it. And that was where we did our second album, Bad Woman, and but we ended up having to go digital with that. We transferred everything from the tapes to ADAC machines, and ended up because
it's not the same because
having to go digital, whether you like it or not.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, if you get the tracks down on analog and then put it to digital, it's a whole other thing. And that's really the best of both worlds.
For sure.
It just doesn't, I just don't think the digital recording sounds good. I mean, it sounds good, but then when you listen to it next to an analog recording, it's so obvious, I mean, the difference. It's
sure.
thin. It's just thinner. I don't know, but I know that it's not easy. When I was in New York, I was lucky because tape was still around insofar as ADATs. So ADATs were still, like I recorded my 2 albums in New York on ADAT, so it was still tape, so it was warm and it sounds good. But then when I moved to England, there's a lot of analog studios here. So I'm lucky because they're priced down. I mean, you can go to a place like Abbey Road where you can do analog also, but it's so expensive. It's insane.
Well, you're paying for the name.
Yeah. And it's not the same anyway as the sound the Beatles got because they were using 4-track machines.
Yeah.
So when they were feeding the mic, even though the room was big and tremendous, I mean, how much could it have really picked up? It had to just pick up what was immediately going on. So it's such a unique sound that you really can never duplicate unless you brought in old 4-track players into Abbey Road. So it's sort of like, I don't know, I won't go there because, I'm not going to get what they had.
I think the golden age of analog was actually in the early 70s, like 1970.
Absolutely. And that's the 16-track recordings because that's what I recorded my record on is 16-track analog to 2-inch tape. And we used, some people who weren't around had to mail in the files, mail in the waves, but still, and then we mixed it onto the tape too, and onto like I think 1/4-inch tape, we mixed it, and then it went digital. But it's a shame because I think that the analog, you're right, the records of the 70s are the best sounding records.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Listen to like T-Rex or the Cars or any of the stuff that was made in that era. Because then when it went 24-track, it got a little stuffy. It just doesn't sound as immediate and gorgeous and sexy as the 16-track analog sound of the 70s, from 71, 72 all the way up to 79. And then it started getting a bit more complicated. But and I don't like 80s sounding records at all. I don't really like anything about the 80s, but it's the time of my life.
There's not much to like.
Music.
Yeah, we spent the 80s pretty much ignoring it. That's the penetration.
Yeah, that's the good thing. So did I.
Well, if I could just bring up something, I mean, in the 80s, you came out with your Kings of Basement Rock, right? What year did that come out?
That came out in 89, I believe it was, or 88, December 88. And that was actually our greatest hits album. Everything on that was recorded back, between 76 or so to 82. So, yeah, that, even though it came out toward the end of that decade, it was actually, it was on vinyl and it came out, it was recorded back in the 70s mostly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely had the analog tape sound on that one.
All right, so let's move over
I'm going to check it out. I'm not going to be prejudiced against digital. I am going to check it out. Yeah.
No, we have a lot of analog in our catalog also. So,
Oh, good. Cool. Okay, cool.
Roxanne, seriously, Google the Penetrators Kings of Basement Rock. It's a really strong analog-based album, and it sounds like you might like it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about this album. Okay.
Oh man. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
This is Roxanne's Phantasmagorgy. Came out this year, and it's the solo artist album of the year. I want to thank you, Roxanne.
All right. That's
this
cool.
Beautiful record. Okay.
I
have to give a little credit to Greg Prevost. Okay. Greg turned me on to this record. He said he'd been listening to it a lot. He thought it was a beautiful record. I should check it out. And usually with Greg, when he says check something out, it's worth it because he hates everything.
True.
So it really is a fantastic record.
He was just on the show too.
Yeah, we just had him on recently. We're going to talk about him a little bit after too. Yeah. This was recorded on Sprezzatura Records, right, Roxanne?
Yeah, that's my own label. And I've had my own label since 1999 when I released my first record, which was produced by Dino Dinelli, who just passed away. God rest his soul.
Yeah, I thought of you when I heard that.
Yeah, it's sad. And anyway, I started then. I mean, he didn't want me to put it out, actually. He wanted us to keep perfecting it till Atlantic Records said, okay, We love it. And I was too impatient. And so I was impatient, not too impatient. I believe that if you make a record, it's got to come out. There's no,
That's what's
I'm not going to
supposed to
listen
happen.
to some nonsense of, it should be more this. What I think they said that you can't have this kind of music. And he did electronic dance, believe it or not, with this kind of a singer. Like they sort of knew that I was a heavy chick, I guess. I don't know how they knew it. I guess by the lyrics, but it was all to the, like electronic sounds. And we both disagreed with that. But he said, well, let's just keep going. And I said, no, I'm starting my own label. I was on 45th Street in what is now the Hyatt. I lived above Johnny's Italian Restaurant at 135 West 45th Street, which they've since torn down. And I started my own label from that address. Good address, right? 45th Times Square. And so I started my label there, and I put out that record, and then I put out another record. And then I stopped for a while because I had a kid and all of this, and got married and moved to LA and was writing with my husband. But then when I moved to England, I started getting into it again. I started putting out the singles. And then this year, I had like issues with the distributor. I was with CD Baby and found out things that just weren't adding up. So I said, well, I have to just change everything and re-release everything, So I just re-released everything and started a new label up legitimately here in England and called it Sprezzatura. And so now it's exciting too, It's to do. It's a lot of work, and I absolutely cannot do what I need to do to promote this record because it's just too much work to do that. But I do what I can, and I'm not really into the idea of being, big star or anything like that anyway. So it's good. It's cool,
Let me ask you something, Roxanne. This
Go ahead.
record is such a unique sounding album. Okay, it's really, it's kind of a throwback. It is a throwback to the 60s, but what would you call the sound on this album? What would you call it?
I think the sound is very, I'm trying to light this friggin' thing. I think the sound is very 2020s. Because it's like we were discussing before about the mixing of digital and analog. And so this is what I did. And like the digital and the analog I did was 16-track, 2-inch tape. And then people were mailing in certain parts. Most of it was done on the tape in London. But people like in Australia were mailing in bits on the WAV files. And then we took those WAV files and put them on the tape, which added some kind of warmth, and then mixed it in with, and then we had to like adjust the sound to try to make it compatible with the tracks we did. And so we put all that together. And so I think it does sound like, some people said, this record sounds so great, like, how does it sound that great? It's like, a lot of it's that combination of the analog and the digital. And, I've been a fan since I'm, 5 years old of rock and roll. Really, people who know me from when I was a kid remember I was obsessed. So it was always a thing. So in all these years, you sort of learn how to write songs. You sort of learn, if you've got any talent, then it comes in, And I learned how to make records. And, Dino helped because he taught me about sounds. And I worked with Gordon Raphael from The Strokes, producer, and he taught me sounds. And then just learning. And then I worked with Jack Douglas, and we did one single with Jack Douglas. And, learned from him too, because I wanted a sort of girl group sound with him. I said, I want a girl group sound. And he gave me probably the best sounding record of my catalog, but it's got a little bit of an 80s thing to it on the drums, which I'm a little not pleased with. So then when I went and did the song after that, He Does the Look, which is the same sort of girl group kind of early 60s vibe kind of thing. I knew how I wanted it to sound, not so much like that and more like authentic,
Yeah.
And so, so then I just started doing and then so by the time I got to doing this record, I feel like I really know what the hell I'm doing in the studio, and start telling everybody what to do, what kind of sound I wanted, what kind of style I want for this solo, what we want to do with this. I would have actually liked for it to be a little bit more out there, but it didn't come out that way. But it's hard to take songs that are so melodic, like the songs that I write and the songs I choose to cover, and get really avant-garde with them, and really different because they're so melodic. So which is what makes it a psychedelic record, because that's what
Well,
psychedelic was. It was little melodic, good pop tunes with
yes.
all the shit thrown on it, you know.
I mean,
And
you
so,
cover Donovan, you cover the church. You know, you have your own take on I guess it was like Sartre, right?
oh yeah,
Eat the Morning Glory.
Morning
That
Glory.
song.
Yeah.
Okay. What I liked also, Roxanne, I mean, you put a lot of work into it. I really admired is that you did a video for like every song.
Yeah, well, this is the thing that's going into 2023 is I'm making a film, and the film is Phantasmagorgy, the film. And so
Oh.
what it's going to be is all these videos I've been doing, and we're putting them all together. And I'm going to start with like maybe a little interview, a little something strange, and then it's all going to, because the album, as you know, the songs all run into each other.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the video of everything, and it's got a concept in a way, you know. So.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
yeah, so I'm working on this movie now, and what I want to do with it is submit it to all the film festivals. There's so many film festivals.
Yeah.
And so that's a sort of exciting thing to go into. And I mean, you could choose music videos and submit it to these people too. But I'm doing a 30-minute film, which is what, and I've got one song left to do, The Peak, which I just finished, and I'm going to put it on YouTube early next month. And then we're just going to put the whole thing together with some other bits and submit it, you know. And even if only a couple say we're going to put it in, to me that's a success, you know. So if I can get someone to recognize it, because I've gotten good at making videos. I love my videos. They don't look like videos that are, you know, contemporary videos. They don't look like car commercials or anything like that.
No, these are real conceptual videos.
Because I make poetic music, and I think that if you make that kind of music and you put a sort of modern video to it, it totally loses the magic. I mean,
yeah,
it's not a bank commercial. It's got to look like, remember the old video, like remember REM's Radio Free Europe? That's the kind of thing I like to do. That's sort of art school shit, you know?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so I'm excited about doing this thing and putting them all together. And the next video, The Peak, that I did, it's got backstage footage from the 90s, which is the last band I had before I started making records. So it's got Rich Teeter, my old drummer from the Dictators, which I dedicated the album to. Because when I was in that band, we had this sort of sound that Phantasmagorgy is. It wasn't really girl group. It wasn't like pop blues, which is sort of what I've also done. And it wasn't folky. It was, we called it botany rock. I mean, we were like, everybody was doing grunge, and it was like, no, we're going to go the other way and do sort of, you know, psychedelia, you know, kind of thing, long guitar solos, all that stuff. And but in the framework of melodic pop song, basically, you know, with psychedelic lyrics. So
yeah. So I'm going to ask you guys to hang on 1 minute, because I'm going to talk about one more thing we need to mention as far as like an award, and that's Greg Prevost's book. I have a copy of it here. Okay. We started a new thing this year, Book of the Year. And that is this book right here, okay? It's Greg Prevost's On the Street, I Met a Dog. And the definitive history of the Chesterfield Kings.
Wow.
If I could reach into the internet and tell all you people, buy this book, okay?
I'm gonna check it out, definitely.
This book is, I mean, it's an autobiography, first of all right? So you're dealing with Greg as a kid, starting out when he's young, and you see how he grew up in Rochester, gets into music, the whole industry. I'm sure you guys can relate on the craziness of the industry. And what I really love about this book, and Greg went into it a lot when we had him on recently. It's the most recent show that we've put on, if you want to check it out. He goes into so much detail in this book. I mean, down to like, you know, who opened for who, what time, where. I mean, he kept journals, this guy. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I did that too. I have journals.
The last
I'm on book number 93.
The last 100 pages is nothing but like snapshots and pictures, and you know, dates and locations. You know,
Yeah, I'm
you
not
don't
at all
even have to like
familiar.
the Chesterfield Kings to like this book. This
I'm
is
not at
just
all familiar with the Chesterfield Kings. They were around in the 80s, right?
79 to about 2009 they played.
Yeah, it went by me because I was, doing my own thing. I did a memoir too,
Yes,
from
you did.
it was a similar sort of thing, non-famous memoir, which to me is a great idea. I mean, I thought that the publishers would jump on it, but the publishers, they're afraid, they just want to sell the same old, I became rich, I became a drug addict, I almost died, now I'm cured bullshit, So,
Yeah.
but meanwhile, good literature of good story, good literature of good stories gets lost. And I think people would really like to read something different. So I'm glad Greg did this book. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we had him on last week, he mentioned that he wouldn't be able to come on today, unfortunately. But we pre-recorded a little short interview about the book.
Yeah.
That will be tacked on to this show
cool.
once we put it up, but probably over the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, I want to thank you all for being on. I appreciate it. And you guys did such great hard work this year.
You're my homies. It means a lot to me to be, to have people in New York say, hey, you put out the best record, and all this other solo artists. It means something to me because coming from you guys, I could pay a publicist who could actually get paid to sit down and listen to it and go, maybe this is a great album. But, it's cool to just have word of mouth. It's really organic to just have word of mouth and have people that are from my home, because, I'm from New York. And for them to say that, it means more to me than you would know.
We love having you on, Roxanne, and keep in touch. Same with you guys. Same with the Penetrators. Go on YouTube, check out the video for Time Is Mine, and look out for stuff they have coming out in 2023.
We'll probably have you back
we'll
on.
probably have you back on again, I'm sure, next year.
For the new
Thanks.
album.
All right. All right, guys.
Thank you so much for having us on and the award and everything. We look forward to talking to you again.
Yep.
Definitely.
Happy New
meeting you.
Year.
Happy New Year, Roxanne.
Happy New Year. What are you guys going to do? What are you doing, Mike, on New Year's Eve?
I'll get lumped up, be with my wife, maybe get lucky. Who knows?
What are you gonna listen to?
Your album.
Good, but you should be listening to some good dancers. Listen to some Wilson Pickett and I Can.
Oh yeah, soul. Always got soul music going. Always got soul music.
I've been listening to
where
a
you
lot
love
of
Wilson Pickett. Elliot and I love Wilson Pickett to death.
I love him too.
Oh, yeah.
Barefootin'. I listened to the original Barefootin' yesterday.
Yeah, that's the classic, definitely.
But it's very clean, and Wilson Pickett's version is "You Are Up."
It's raunchier.
Yeah,
a lot raunchier.
Yeah, but I like the original. It was like I could really appreciate the perfection of it.
Definitely.
But Wilson Pickett's version was amazing, and and listening to Ike and Tina, listening to Hully Gully, that's like amazing.
Amazing stuff.
That's really uplifting music. All that kind of.
It's good New Year's Eve music, that's for sure.
Yes, and it's good for your body. You got to get the body going.
Yeah. All right, so stay tuned for the complete version of this video. We'll send you guys when it's ready, probably tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, the link.
Great. You guys link and you can share it around. And thank you again for coming on, the three of you. Really appreciate it.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Okay, ciao.
Ciao.
Figure out how to lock it. Kick from the room. Yeah. And that's it.
And we'll still talk, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just gotta do one thing.
We're still live, right?
Yeah. Make sure the do not disturb is on.
Yeah.
And we're still on.
And we're still on, everybody. So here we are in the bowels of New York City.
Yeah.
The back of the International Bar in the East Village.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking a Bloody Mary that the wonderful Claire made me, because she's incredible. right?
Yeah.
You make a good Bloody Mary too.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yes,
I
you
make
do.
a lot of Bloody Mary, a lot of hot toddies, man. People come in here for the hot toddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, it's been an interesting year. We had a lot of guests.
We did. You know, and we have, me and Rob have 4 shows. Okay, we have the Rock Show, we have Conspiracy 420, we have the Rocker Mike and Rob Presents, the interview show, and of course we have the Son of Sam Chronicles, which is our biggest show where we talk about the Son of Sam.
And yesterday we had the Freak Show end of the year review.
Right, you got the Freak Show with John.
So we did a bunch of stuff this year. We had a lot of shows this year. I think we put up
more than ever, right?
More than ever. We had probably, it was ridiculous. We had something like 3,000 minutes of tape time.
Amazing. I know. People probably sick of seeing our faces.
But you know what? The last 2 weeks, which is something we never done, we haven't put up that much stuff. That's why I put that great photo stuff up. I put this up as quick as possible.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and edit it. I better do it before I get lumped up, too.
Oh, yeah. Because you're useless when that happens.
Oh, yeah. But we're alive right now, actually, in the internationals. If you guys are around and want to have a quick drink or give somebody a shot or let us know and we'll
come down.
Shut them out. Come down. Yeah.
Yeah. 102 First Avenue. We'll be here for a while.
We also got an interesting guest coming up. We got Scott the Clown.
Scott the Clown. We're waiting for this guy. He just got back from Tennessee to see his family, and yeah, he's a real clown. He's a real clown.
Dude, you know what the funny thing? We're going to talk about 2 movies, but Beyond the Body of the Doll, Jesus Christ, what a movie!
Well, we might as well bring it up. We're talking about the Elvis movie that came out this year. Soon as Scott the Clown gets here. And we're also talking about Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Oh my God, what a movie!
Yeah. Now, 1970, directed by Russ Meyer. That's really all. Russ Meyer. That's all you need to know. All right, you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get tits. You're gonna get ass. You're gonna get.
He wanted
sex,
to put more. He wanted to put more nudity.
Yeah, it would have been an X-rated movie.
No, but it was. It did get an X-rated.
Yeah, it did. It did. But it still was very popular. It was played in a lot of mainstream theaters. It made money. Critically, it was killed, but it made money.
Yeah, it was like one of the biggest films. Also, the same thing with the Valley of the Doll was a big film. And the Valley of the Doll, Jesus, that girl just did drugs after drugs. And
you're talking about the Valley of the Dolls.
The original one. The second one was more like a screw.
That's the one with Sharon Tate's in that.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, that movie was ridiculous, man. Like, and didn't she commit suicide because he ate the pills like that? What happened to the good old days when people ate the pills?
That would never happen.
Because she got like breast cancer and killed herself, right?
Something.
It was crazy. I was watching that movie, but that movie, the same thing. She went to France, became a nude
model.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the Valley of the Dolls. That was I think that was based on a book.
Yeah, but that was one of the biggest films in
the 60s. 67, I think that came out.
It was the most profitable film they did that year in that studio, whatever the studio was, which was was it Paramount or whatever it was?
Yeah, I'm not sure. MGM maybe. I'm not sure.
But it was damn good, and everybody was good. Everybody was really good in it. But it was such a dark movie, man.
Well, when they made Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, they intended to make it almost like a sequel to this, but it ended up being more like a spoof of it. Yeah. Okay, which sometimes you make a movie with one idea and something else comes out of it.
That movie?
Oh, Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert, the great film critic, and Russ Meyer together came up with the story. They paid somebody to write the script, but it was their story,
which is insane.
Yeah, and to his dying day, Roger Ebert was proud of that film.
Oh yeah,
he caught a lot of shit. I've seen interviews where people are like, "Come on, that movie," He's like, "No, it's a great movie." He's like, "We did everything we wanted to do. It's a great spoof." And interestingly enough, when it came out, Gene Siskel, who would be later on Ebert's partner in Film Critics, Film Critic TV shows, Siskel and Ebert, right? Yeah. Gene Siskel killed it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I remember watching Siskel and Ebert one time because I used to watch them on Channel 13 all the time. Yeah. Okay, years ago. And one time they brought up the movie and they argued back and forth about the merits of it. Yeah. Okay. And Siskel said it still sucked.
You got to keep up the principle, man.
Well, he was a stubborn dude, man. You couldn't change his mind.
I was so for my this year the movie, like I told him the free show, I told him my movie of the year was Top Gun Maverick. It was a fantastic
That was an
movie.
excellent movie. Yeah.
You know what? I went in there not thinking much of it, and then when I saw it, I was like, holy shit. And then the tribute they gave to Val Kilmer in that movie, because his character, the Iceman, like he became like an admiral. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And they had, it was good. I thought it was an excellent, you know, I went and I inspected, I was pretty shocked by the movie. I thought it was great.
I remember you saying you didn't expect much and you walked out that it was fucking great.
Yeah, you saw it? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it streaming. I didn't see it in the movies. But
you never think that you can make, like, the first movie was good. I think the second one is so much better.
It's a different movie. It's a different kind of movie. It doesn't have the same. Well, of course, the problem with Top Gun, the first one, is it's so 80s and you just can't get out of like the music and everything. Yeah. It's like if they had done it a little differently, it would be more timeless.
Yeah.
But it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay. But it really is kind of like a little stuck in time, stuck in 85, whatever it was, 86, whenever it came out. This one is more of a movie for the ages.
Yeah.
And it pays homage to the first one and everything, which really the whole movie really is. And then but it's not stuck in a certain time.
Yeah, but I love that they had like those old 80s so dangerous and all that stuff. I was like, oh, man, this is great. Because you don't get too many movies like that. Sometimes you get a sequel like that so many years later, and it just is not good. But this one was it was like a tribute movie, but it was very well done.
Did Tom Cruise want to make that, or was he kind of pushed into it?
I think he wanted to do that for a long time, but they didn't have like the right technology, and he wanted to get the right flight scene to get the right pilots to do those scenes.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was. It was all about getting the budget, getting the money, because he wanted to make like. Have you seen some of the fights in that thing? Like those fight scenes, man. Nothing we ever seen in
no, it's incredible. It's incredible effects and incredible footage, and Yeah,
I'm surprised more people didn't die doing that film, because some of those stunts and fights that they did.
Oh,
and
what these planes can do now, anyway. It's amazing.
But you see that crazy bastard? He's still doing his own stunts. He did that crazy stunt jumping off a freaking building. He don't have to do that. No, he did it.
He likes doing his own stunts.
He's like, you know who else does that? Jackie Chan also did that.
For
many years.
Oh yeah. Jackie Chan, back in his prime in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Well, I say early 90s. He was doing his own stunts. He was already like in his 40s at that point.
A little bit older.
Maybe even a little older. The guy would like break a foot, break an ankle, like every movie. Every movie you get hurt, but he would like wrap his foot up and keep going.
Keep going, which is amazing. And the guy was old too at the same time doing that.
Do you remember the first Jackie Chan movie to cross over and make it big? You remember the name?
What's that? Rumble in the Bronx?
Rumble in the Bronx.
I love that movie.
And it's so cheesy because in the background you see mountains. No, this was not filmed really in the Bronx.
No, it was not.
Okay, there are no mountains in the Bronx.
Oh, I remember that thinking, damn, this is the Bronx.
And I remember getting like a bootleg copy of that on 42nd Street. What was it, 1990 maybe?
Yeah.
I don't remember. And having a VHS copy of it from the karate store, the kung fu store on 42nd Street, had it. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, he supposedly worked like in a bodega, right?
Yeah.
And then he looks out the window, and there's like a freaking giant Himalaya mountain in the freaking back. I'm like, wait a minute, did I miss something here? This is the Bronx. There's no big mountains in the Bronx.
Yeah, but that movie was actually pretty damn good.
It was. All of his. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Drunken Master ones, the early stuff.
Great.
I mean, that's all the early shit. Yeah.
You know what's the other thing that's interesting about that? Like, he did those movies. It's the same thing like Bruce Lee, the Big Boss.
Yeah.
Then it turned out to be the Chinese Connection or whatever the hell they turned it into.
Yeah, they changed the name.
They don't change the name, but these movies were so out. It was so funny when you watch them in America. They dubbed them in English. The track is so bad, but nothing sinking in. That's what people
of course. That's what kung fu movies were known for.
That's great.
I would do the impression if I could, but I suck at impressions. But like Eddie Murphy always had a good impression of that when the mouth moved different from the words.
I always they did that with the guy for the Wu-Tang, the Wizard did the remake of the Man with the Iron Hands, and he did a sequel. They kind of did that thing.
No, the man with the iron hand. What it wasn't iron. It was like
Iron Fist.
Iron Fists or who was that? Did you ever see? No, I'm thinking of something else. You ever see the flying guillotine?
Oh yeah,
Right. The guy with we shoot the boomerang freaking thing and then cut your head off and then it would come right back. That was sick.
I remember that. You know what it was? I used to go to Times Square and watch those movies. For hours.
Oh, and you'd be in there all day because you know you didn't have to leave. You just keep staying in it and it didn't throw you out.
And you didn't need any drugs because by the time you got out there,
it was a contact high.
Those people smoking
Everybody was smoking weed, getting high.
They would put it out right away.
There was some kind of sexual activity going on. Okay. I remember being in there going like, oh my God.
Didn't Pee Wee get caught in one of those theaters?
No, did he get caught in Florida or something? I don't think it was New York, but he was caught in a porno theater. Spanking his monkey.
Pee Wee, not so Pee Wee anymore.
I found an old when I moved out of my apartment last year, early this year. I found an old newspaper of that. I kept it. Of Pee Wee on the front page, okay? And actually at the same time, and I forgot this, at the same time, what else was going on that was perverted was the Woody Allen Soon You story was going on.
Oh, that was at the same time
as that.
God.
Yep.
That thing with Woody Allen, but you know what it was? That was like an adopted daughter, so...
Well, he didn't do anything illegal, but it definitely was... not ethical, I guess you could say. I mean, you're not supposed to hook up with your wife's adopted kid. It's not supposed. Well, your girlfriend's adopted kid.
One of the Santas.
They made Alice Cooper out of it. Oh, they made Paul Stanley out of it.
I was looking at the devil one over here.
Yeah, it's hard. Maybe it's hard for you guys to see here in this back room, but there's all kinds of Santa Clauses on the wall. Some are upside down. I don't know if you can see it. There's nothing behind me here.
It's creepy looking.
It is creepy. One of them's got like the eyes blacked out. There's a lot of demented people that hang out in this bar. And you serve them. You said you serve them. Jesus.
I do serve them.
I'm going to have to get another one.
Check your phone real quick and see if anybody
called. Let's see. No. No. Oh. Okay. Caldonaro was supposed to come on, but he just bailed on us. Okay. It's okay. He's with his grandkids in Legoland. So
Legoland. That must be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely Legoland. And that's okay. We had a feeling that might happen. But I want to thank Carl. He's been a fantastic co-host and everything on the Son of Sam Chronicles. That's our biggest show. We couldn't have done it without Carl. And we've gotten to be good friends. And so I want to thank him for this great year we've had on the show. Also, I want to thank Neo, right? Neo and Chris from the Son of Sam Chronicles. Definitely. And I want to thank all our guests that come on the Rocker Mike and Rob Presents or the Rock Show or whatever. And also I want to give a shout out to Ugly Things Magazine. I can't promote this magazine enough. I bring it up a lot on the show. I know. This is the latest issue that came out, number 61. Check this magazine out. It's fantastic. It's just like so detailed, so chock packed with information about a lot of garage, 60s garage bands, regular rock and roll, everything from 60s garage to 70s punk to some new stuff today. It's got great contributions from all kinds of people. Cyril Jordan from the Flamin' Groovies has a column every issue. Greg Prevost from the Chesterfield Kings. He has his own contribution. He writes, does interviews sometimes. Mike Stacks, who puts this out, does such an amazing job. Just check out Ugly Things Magazine, uglythings.com, I believe it is.
I think you should see if you can reach out to him. Maybe he could come on the show.
He had, I have, and they actually started their own podcast over the summer, so they kind of were like doing their own thing. And Mike has a band called the Loons. I think they're out of California, I think.
But you know what the thing is? It never hurt to do cross promotion.
No.
Collaboration, because that actually helps everybody.
It does.
Yeah, you know?
It does. It does.
Because we had that guy from Hey Bartender. He was a good collaborator.
Was that this year?
Yeah, that was
Yes, that was Anthony from Hey Bartender. Definitely
Hey
shout
Bartender.
out to him. He has a great show, Hey Bartender podcast. He's out of Texas.
Yeah.
And he just talks about, he interviews bartenders.
Yeah.
And he talks about the stories and things that happen during bartending and shit you got to deal with. And, you know, I'm going to be starting a bartending job too, starting in January. So I'll be dealing with that kind of shit too, you know. So we're still waiting for Scott the Clown here. Just want to ask you, Rob, what did you think of the Elvis movie? We'll get into this more when he comes. What did you think?
You know what? You know what? The one thing I never realized that the Colonel was a Dutchman, right? He was
Well, no one knew what he was until they started looking at it.
He was like a Dutchman. And
Yeah.
He was very manipulative, and
Yeah.
and that was something that I never really knew. You always heard about the Colonel, but then when you started, that guy was a commie. He was a commie.
He was a con artist.
And
Yeah.
Connie. He just looked at him and he just kept on the snow by
The
Elvis.
snowman.
Snowball.
Meaning like a snow
money.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah, do a snow job.
It
You
was
know.
crazy how, and then when my whole thing was, the most interesting was when the father told him to take a step in. He had everything he spent
Yeah.
written down again. This is how much we owe. It's like oh my god.
Well, because he created like this, almost like a shell company related to everything that he did. So
Yeah.
it was like when Elvis wanted to get rid of him, and we'll go into this again after, but when Elvis wanted to get rid of him, he couldn't because he would have had to pay him back for everything that everything he did. It was terrible, man. You know. But what I really loved about this movie, and it was probably my favorite movie from the year, I think.
Yeah.
I watched it about 4 times. It really captured, especially in the second half. It's not a perfect film, okay? There's a few things I didn't like about it, but you know,
and then they showed him that he was the original Jay-Z selling drugs to all the other musicians,
they didn't really get into that at all.
which I thought that's
What they kind of left that out. You see that there's one scene where he's in the back of a car and he's driving, and they're telling him, I don't know who it's supposed to be, some other performer, telling him, "Oh, take these pills; it'll make you stay up." You know.
It could have been Johnny Cash.
It could have been Johnny Cash. It could have been Jerry Lee Lewis, who passed away this year, and sadly,
we had a drummer from ZZ from Rolling Stone passed away.
Charlie Watts. So that was 2021.
That
was 2021.
That whole COVID thing made everything seem. How was the guy from ZZ Top?
That was 2021 too. Yeah.
How was Loretta Lynn?
Loretta Lynn was this year.
This year.
Yeah, that was a big loss.
And Jerry Lee Lewis was definitely this year.
Yeah, and it was so ironic because we just did a show on him. Right?
Yeah.
We just did a podcast. He died, right? He died before we had a chance to put it up.
I think we did it a few weeks ago, and then we moved up the date.
We moved it up. It was supposed to be for this month, and we moved it up to October, I think, November when he passed away.
And what we got for next year? What kind of shows we have? You got a little sneak preview of what we have?
Well, January, the Rock Show has a 2-part episode about Willie DeVille and Mink DeVille. Willie was the singer.
And we got some special guests.
And we got a special guest on the second part. Stay tuned for that in January. Then February, we always do Black History Month. We talk about black artists. We're going to do a show on Sonny Rollins. We're going to do a show on Sam Cooke. Okay. And also the conspiracy shows. We got the story of the Lugaroo. Lugaroo is a creature that lives in the Caribbean, Black Caribbean countries. We're going to talk about, and we're going to have a special guest. You know who's going to be a special guest? I might as well tell it.
Sandy?
My wife, who's Haitian. She's got some great Lugaroo stories.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And we're also doing a story about some myths and mistakes that are often attributed to African Americans regarding their history, particularly about slavery and other things that have happened. It's a very interesting article that I found in Vox magazine, and I'm going to take a lot of information from that and make a conspiracy show out of it. Should be good. That'll be in February. God, March. What do I got going in March? I know I added it on.
I know you said it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a quick look here, cheat in my phone because I'm lumped up and my memory is shot. All right. Let's see here. Notes. All right. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. March we got 2 rock shows planned. One on Nina Hagen, the great Nina Hagen, German performer. And then a show on X, the Los Angeles-based punk band from the late 70s that became a little more straight-ahead rock and roll, kind of like what Social Distortion did.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of a little more rockabilly, a little more country than Social D. But I like X a lot, John Doe and Exene Cervenka. It's about time we do a show on that. A couple other things I've been thinking about. Well, one is I'm thinking about doing a show on the Dave Clark 5.
Dave Clark 5.
That should be good. A lot of people don't realize that the Dave Clark 5 were as big as the Beatles at one point.
Yeah.
Okay? But interestingly, they never could change. Where the Beatles evolved and a lot of bands followed with them through the 60s, Dave Clark 5 really didn't do that. They were the same, British invasion sound. They did experiment with some soul music and stuff, but they were gone by 1970 pretty much. But at one point, 64, 65, they were as big as the Beatles. People forget that. So we're going to do a show on them later in the year.
That's pretty interesting. I also think we got to do another of the best 5 live albums.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too.
So that's like this is a fan favorite show.
Yeah,
People love that.
that's the kind of thing I love to get fan participation in. So if you guys could think of some great live albums that we could review, I know we did.
On the Facebook.
Yeah. Starting next month, I'll put that up, and we'll put that together for maybe the springtime. That should be cool.
I think the best live album review, and I think to this day, I still think it's one of the best live albums. I still think
Which one?
The Kiss album to me is one of the greatest. Not so
The first live,
Kiss
Alive.
Kiss Alive was fantastic. I still think to me that's one of my favorite.
That's the first record. It's the first album I bought. Yeah, I mean, we did talk about this last year.
Yeah.
It really broke the band.
Yeah.
Okay, and it really put them into the public consciousness way more than they were.
Yeah, they did.
They never looked back after that.
Another thing, we had a lot of review. We reviewed the Kiss. Was this year that we did the Kiss Nation, the Kiss documentary, which was pretty good.
Forget if that was this year or 2021.
If you want to look for it, I think Netflix got it up now. You can find it on not on Netflix. You can find it on Hulu. Hulu has it up. They got both episodes. You can watch them back to back. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was very good.
The other thing that's on Hulu also, if you haven't watched, was the Pistol, which pretty much
that we did a good show on that.
That was very good.
We got quite a bit of hits on that one. And I liked it. It's on Netflix. No, Hulu. Excuse me, Hulu.
Yeah.
And I think it was well done. And there was mixed reviews with it. I know John Lydon, who I have a lot of respect for, didn't like it. Didn't want anything to do with it. There was a lawsuit involved and all that. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, as far as, dramatic things related to the Sex Pistols that have been made over the years, which really there haven't been that many, it really is one of the best. I do like the documentary, The Filth and the Fury by Julian Temple. And that's just a documentary, and that interviews all the living members. And everybody but Sid, obviously.
But you know what? For the film documentary of the year, we got to give it to Danny Garcia.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we can't forget Danny. First of all,
and Uncle Mike,
DJ Uncle Mike Schnapp. Okay, Great guy, great DJ out here in New York City. We've seen him many times. Him and Danny Garcia, who have made movies in the past, they got together to make this film, Nightclubbing, the birth of punk in New York City, which was all about the Max's Kansas City scene.
Yeah.
Which I thought right away was very interesting because usually people want to talk about CBGBs, which definitely is important, but kind of the Max's scene gets pushed aside a little bit. And really, that's where punk got started, okay, in New York City. Bands like the New York Dolls played there, and Johnny Thunders, Wayne County, the proto-punk early 70s bands that would be the influence to bands like the Ramones and Television and stuff like that played CBGBs in 74 and 75. These guys were playing Max's in 72 and 73, and some of them crossed over to CBs once CBs opened up as well. Another perfect example is Mink DeVille.
Yeah.
Okay, Mink played both places, and our show that we're doing on Mink DeVille and Willie DeVille next month, we'll talk about all that. But Nightclubbing was great. Did very well in the for the small release that it had.
Yeah.
It did very well. It got some accolades. It got it now. It's on DVD. You can see it on Amazon. I believe they're working on a streaming thing of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's out yet, but it should be soon. We'll let you know. Nightclubbing, the story of the birth of punk in New York City.
It was very good.
Yeah.
And me and Mike were lucky to see the sneak preview.
Danny and Mike were wonderful, and they gave us passes for the VIP premiere of the film. Some of the actors and actresses in the movie were there.
Yep.
And we had a great time. We interviewed Danny afterwards, and we got to be friendly. And Mike and Danny even came to my big retirement party this year. I had Mike DJ and Danny came along, and we're hanging out in my backyard eating burgers and franks and everything, man.
And
it was great.
what's the other thing? When we saw that movie, they showed there was a great tape of
Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious.
Sid the Final Curtain.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see it, Danny was very nice enough to put it on YouTube. It's on there right now. Sid the Final Curtain. It's a 20-minute, 25-minute short based on found footage that's never been seen before of Sid Vicious playing Max's Kansas City live. Now, old punkers like me, okay, we grew up on the Sid Sings vinyl, which was pretty awful.
Yeah.
Okay, the quality was awful. He was whacked out of his mind, lumped up. But for this particular footage, he was pretty together, and it was great. I think he had. I forget who the band was. If it was the drummer from Pure Hell, or I forget off the top of my head. That's usually who he had. I think it was the same in this one. Maybe Ty Sticks.
Yeah.
I forget. But check out Sid the Final Curtain.
And you can find out. I'll put the link on the description.
Yeah, it's on YouTube right now. And also, the way that it was interesting, Danny, how we got the footage. I mean, I said to him, I said, how'd you get this? And he said, just some guy from Japan.
Yeah.
Been sitting on it for years. And I think he contacted him and said, hey, I have this footage. And Danny said, no, it's impossible. Everything's been seen. Everything's been recorded. It's out there. We know there's nothing good.
Yeah,
okay.
He got it.
He had it. It was this one show that was never recorded. That it was great. So it's really, it's really worth it. Talk about a time capsule.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Oh
my God.
So fans, let's take a little break before
we will be
start
back.
The live show again. We're going to end it right now, and we'll be back within like 30 minutes.
What I want to mention too, I'm not sure where you're going to edit it in, is we have a new award this year for Book of the Year.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's for Greg Prevost's book. I showed it before when we had our guests on, but it's On the Street, I Met a Dog by Greg Prevost, the definitive history of the Chesterfield Kings.
Yeah.
We interviewed Greg last week. You can see that interview on YouTube. Soon, right?
Oh, yeah. You can catch it.
You can catch it on audio.
Podcast, on audio.
On the audio.
Yeah. So you can find that on
Look on
Spotify.
Getting Lumped Up.
Yeah.
Look on the Getting Lumped Up on Spotify, Pandora, You could hear the interview.
Yeah, on Apple. It's doing actually the interview's doing very good. The audio by itself is doing very good because that was a very candid interview that we had.
Very candid.
And he gave a lot of information. So the audio is doing fantastic. When I put the video, it's pretty much going to be pictures of the book and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll have a little montage.
And it'll be like, it was like about an hour and 15 minutes. But,
that'll be up soon.
Good. So that'll be on audio soon.
And also in this show, when we do put this up after it's live, we're going to be editing in a quick 10, 15-minute interview we did with Greg about just the book as well. Okay, so because we have this new category. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back, hopefully, with the clown.
Yep.
And I'm going to have another drink. So when you see me, I'm going to be a little more lumped up.
We'll see you later, and Happy New Year.